motivate PDP, which is one of the largest and perhaps the oldest political party in this republic, is clearly targeted for destruction. It's a matter of time. There are internal mercenaries in the PDP that have been hired, paid, or otherwise motivated to destroy the party. So the party is on its way to the grave. Okay? And it's most unfortunate because His Excellency, the former Vice President, was explaining how politicians came together, essentially, put aside their differences to drive away the military. Most of these politicians ended up in the PDP. So the PDP actually represented the best of our politicians that fought for restoration of democracy. Forget those that make the most noise.
Malam Rufai speaking at the National Conference on Strengthening Democracy in Nigeria. The event held in Abuja, it attracted prominent Nigerian politicians from diverse parties, not just the opposition, including the APC. P2B was there. Atiku Abubakar, who just returned to Nigeria, also attended. The missing part in this video, published by African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, is where he made it very clear for the first time in the public that he is in direct communication with P2B. El-Rufai, while criticizing the APC, started by saying, "I no longer recognize the APC. No party organ has met in 2 years. No caucus, no neck, nothing. You don't even know if it is a one-man show. It's a zero-man show. You cannot afford to have illiterates, semi-illiterates, and cunning people as your leaders. This is why we end up with the poor leadership we have today. The problems that led to the creation of the APC remain unresolved, but I no longer believe the APC is interested in addressing them. The distance between me and the party is widening. There are internal mercenaries in the PDP, hired and motivated to destroy the party. The Labour Party is also facing similar issues. P2B himself told me, "I don't know what's happening in the party I contested with. There seems to be a deliberate project to destroy opposition parties. This is dangerous. For those of us who lived half our lives under military rule, we know what it is. We don't want a military rule, but we also don't want civilians behaving like the military in their barbariga and suits. This is a national emergency and we must act before history repeats itself."
A politician's ambition must, and I repeat, must never supersede the interests of your nation. Ambition can always be seen for a politician in 2 dimensions. You have a personal ambition, but you also have an ambition for your country, for democracy to survive and to thrive and to be strengthened. The ambition for the country must be paramount and must supersede the ambition for yourself.
Before we see what Atiku Abubakar said at the conference, this is the first time El-Rufai is openly criticizing the current administration. He not only criticized the way they are running the Nigerian economy, but also the way they are running the party affairs, that it is now a one-man show. So the line is drawn. He has confirmed the rumors that they are working to establish a coalition party that all the opposition parties will run under, abandoning Labour Party and PDP, the 2 main opposition parties. And that party seems to be the SDP. This photo was released a few days ago when they had meeting. So opposition politicians are holding serious consultations about the coalition party in order not to make the same mistake of 2015. Because the coalition that brought APC to power in 2015 is the reason Nigerians find themselves in this situation today. Many genuinely felt that Buhari would be a complete departure from the past. They never knew it was a power grab. They never had any solution to all the problems Nigeria faced in 2015, not to talk of today. After Nigerians endured 8 years of Buhari, now, in less than 2 years, Tinubu has made Buhari a saint. This needs to be said again for those who continue to defend the indefensible. Let's use a simple analogy. Think of yourself as the head of your family. You have children and you guys are into farming. You farm every farming season, and when you harvest, you sell everything and turn to your children and your wife and tell them no, you are going to sell everything and you people will now start buying at the market price. Does that make any sense to you? After harvesting, you sell everything and you tell your children to go to the market and start buying at the market price. Meanwhile, you are the producer. You're the farmer, you farm, you harvest, you have all the farm produce, you have yam, maize, rice, everything. You wouldn't keep some for your family to be eating. Instead, you sell everything and say, let's go and buy at the market price. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe this analogy is not perfect, but at least you get the meaning. There is no economic reform that is worth doing if it's going to bring about massive suffering and hardship to the people. If it is going to plunge millions into poverty, it's not worth doing. It's better to take it bit by bit. How are you going to feel if your landlord woke up one day and knocked on your door and said, hey, tenant, this one-bedroom apartment you're paying 200,000 naira every year. I have increased the rent by 500%. If you can't pay the 1.2 million naira as new rent, then take this quick notice and leave. How are you going to feel? If you feel bad that your rent was increased by 500%, meanwhile your salary didn't receive a commensurate increase, or your business, whatever you are into, you didn't out of the blue start earning by 500%, you should feel bad. That's normal. But the question is, why don't you feel bad about the sudden jump in petrol price? Because that's exactly what Tinubu did in 2023. Petrol was being sold for about 185 naira per litre, and out of the blue, it jumped to 1,200 and something naira. So if you crossed your landlord for increasing your rent by 500%, why are you not expending the same energy on the person that increased petrol by 500%? Why are you making excuses and saying this one is different, blah, blah, blah? Are they not the same? Have you not thought about the fact that the petrol price increase is driving serious inflation in Nigeria? Yes, goods and services rely on petrol price. Do you know how much it costs to transport 140-foot container just from Apapa Wharf to Alaba or to Ikeja? Not to talk of going to Onitsha or northern Nigeria. Do you know how much it costs to just move the container on a trailer to all these locations? So everyone increased the price of their product or service. So you don't expect the landlord not to do the same, because that 200,000 he used to collect from you as rent is no longer sufficient for him. Yes, because of inflation. So he has to increase the rent in order to be able to live, to stay afloat. So effectively, the 200,000 naira of 2022 is equivalent to about 1.2 million naira today. So you can see, when people criticize Tinubu, don't feel it is hate. No one really hates him. They only hate the massive suffering he has brought on Nigerians. That's all. And don't say Rufai is criticizing him now because he couldn't secure the ministerial position. No. What has happened has happened. Maybe when Tinubu was doing that, he never felt he would need Rufai today. But remember that when they were forming their own APC coalition in 2013-2014, they poached opposition politicians at the time. So opposition today are now organizing themselves to do what? To save Nigeria from APC. That's why it is important not to make the mistake of 2015. This is why P2B said this.
For me, what is important is let's discuss Nigeria. Whether we are going to do coalition or not, let's talk about the future of the country. Because often we abandon the country and what we need to do, talking about power grab. I'm not interested in any coalition that is for purpose of taking power. It is about discussing Nigeria. How do we care about securing Nigeria? How do we care about the common person in Nigeria? How do we care about our children being in school? That is the most important thing for now.
P2B has been consistent about not being in support of any coalition that is about power grab. The reason he's saying this is because of the arrogance coming from PDP. Atiku Abubakar wants to run. He doesn't want to leave the stage. And if he ever runs in the coalition, it will be very difficult to defeat him. The reason is very simple. He's a money bag, and he must make sure with all his colleagues in the PDP and allies everywhere that the primaries will be transactional. Yes. And if it ever becomes transactional, he will be ready to raise up to $100 million to buy delegates to win the presidential ticket of the coalition party. He knows the coalition party will wipe the floor with APC before noon on election day. Forget about the fears of many people about rigging. When we get there, we'll cross the bridge. So this is the main reason P2B left PDP. He will not go back to the same thing that made him to leave his party. So that's the problem here. Once it becomes transactional, not that he cannot compete, but does it really make any sense? Why not use the money for better things? There's a lot of suffering in Nigeria and you are giving a few people millions of dollars just to vote for you. This is the major problem of Nigerian politics. When a politician can spend millions of dollars just to buy a presidential ticket, how much is the salary of a president for 4 years? Is it up to $1 million?
I was in the forefront together with the late Shehu Yaradua. Basically, main objective was, look, we got to send the military out of governance. Of course, we were played around by the military several times. We formed political parties. They will dissolve them, and then eventually we ended up with 2 political parties set up by the military themselves, the SDP and NRC.